Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast with your host, Cody Jansen.
Am I on air? What's up, everybody? We have an awesome show for you tonight. I'm your host, Cody Jansen, and welcome to episode 29 of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast presented by CST Tires. The track and the racing this past weekend at Sunset Ridge were legendary, so it's only fitting that a living legend joins us for the show. He's the same legend that stole the show at Sunset Ridge, Mr. Chad Wienen. He'll take you through his weekend, talk about the future of Wienen Motorsports, and more in this exclusive interview. But even before that, Sean Taylor will rejoin the show to help me cover the racing and talk about a special opportunity he had at Sunset. Stoked for that. And then at the end of the show, Mitch Reynolds will rejoin us to talk some TT racing as the season looks to get underway here. And we'll call this our TT season preview show. Stoked about this lineup. It's guaranteed to be another great show, but before we dig too deep, let's thank all the incredible sponsors that make all this possible. Thanks to our title sponsor, CST Tires, CSTTires.com. The Pulse MXR tire is the best tire on the market no matter what the terrain. Join the CST takeover today or prepare to be beat by someone who did. CST Tires, where passion meets the ground. Thank you to Motorsports Powerhouse and show sponsor, Yamaha. We are proud to be partnered with the winningest manufacturer of the past decade in ATV motocross and the #1 OEM supporter of ATV racing. The Digging Deep ATVMX podcast is Team Blue Crew. Thank you, Yamaha. Check them out at YamahaOutdoors.com. Thanks to another member of Racing Royalty and longtime sponsor of my personal racing efforts, Valvoline. For over 150 years, Valvoline has been dedicated to innovating and improving your riding and driving experience. The world's oldest oil company still leads the charge with unrivaled products and lubricants. Thanks to Team Valvoline for coming on board. Thank you to SSI Decals. SSI Decals is the decal choice of champions everywhere and is synonymous with the best decals and graphics kits on the market. Their track record speaks for itself. Champions choose SSI Decals for unmatched look and quality. Thanks to those guys. Check them out today at SSIDecals.com. It's an absolute honor to be partnered with Wienen Motorsports. We all know him as one of the toughest competitors ATV motocross has ever seen, and Chad Wienen has built quite the business within the industry as well. The same products he handpicked to help him win 6 AMA ATV Pro National Championships are available to you through Wienen Motorsports. Simply put, he sells what he races. So head over to WienenMotorsports.com to see everything they have to offer and use promo code DIGDEEP to save at checkout. Thanks to Chad Wienen and Wienen Motorsports for further legitimizing everything we're doing here at Digging Deep. It's an absolute honor. Thank you to DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 X-Ring chain. Team USA, Joel Hetrick, and myself trusted DID's unrivaled chain quality all the way to championship victory this past season. Wherever you go, go with DID. We are proud to be partnered with Gripped Gloves. Gripped is an ATV rider owned and operated brand with the rider in mind and keeping costs affordable the goal. This Michigan-based family operation is here to push stereotypes and limitations while recognizing riders' desire to showcase their identity with eccentric colorways and crazy patterns. Gripped is driven to produce a glove with cool colors and designs that won't break the bank. Get a grip on life. Check them out at grippedgloves.com. That's GRIPT gloves.com and use discount code DIGGINGDEEP10 to save. Thanks to the Decker Training Facility. The Decker Training Facility at County Line MX is now open. This premier motocross training compound is located in beautiful Fountain, Florida, a short 40-minute drive from Panama City Beach. Their rapidly growing facility consists of a pro-level national track, amateur and youth tracks, woods loop, and mountain bike trails. Everything you need to train comfortably all winter long is available on site, including private cabins, a full gym, RV hookups, bathhouses, garage, dump station, wash bays, and more. With accommodations for riders across the country and around the world, the Decker Training Facility will help you become the best rider you can be. Sign up for a group training session or a private lesson with nationally ranked pros. Train tougher, smarter, and harder this off-season at one of Florida's most luxurious facilities. For more information, go to DeckerTrainingFacility.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram. Decker Training Facility, your elite training experience.
Thank you, Namura Technologies. Namura, pistons with an attitude. Namura has led the charge in the ATV and side-by-side market since 2001 with their wide array of pistons, rings, gaskets, and industry-leading top-end repair kits. To purchase, visit your local dealer or online at namura.com. That's NAMURA.com. Also, a big thanks to Bronco ATV and UTV components. Bronco has been the industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. Whether it's electrical components, engine internals like rods and cylinders, suspension parts or bearing kits, Bronco is your hard part source when it comes to whatever you need for whatever you ride. BroncoATV.com. Thanks to Forworks Carbon for the continued support. Known for their hoods, seat covers, array of carbon parts, and so much more. Forworks is your one-stop shop to give your ATV a new and improved look with increased function this year. Head over to the social media pages or website today. Thanks to Forworks Carbon. Thanks to DP Brakes, the unquestioned leader in motorsports and power sports braking. DP is the brand responsible for allowing Joel Hetrick, your host Cody Jansen, and so many more others to outbrake the competition every time they hit the racetrack. It's never too late to join the team, so act fast. www.dp-brakes.com. Thank you to Mountaineer Brand. If you know me, you know I love my... What the?
Hey, that's my line. If you know me, you know I love my beard. That's why I treat it right with Mountaineer Brand's all-natural washes, oils, balms, and more. Use discount code CODY'sFave in all caps. That's CODYSFAV, CODY'sFave in all caps at mountaineerbrand.com. We're thankful for our partnership with Factory 43. Since 2007, this racer-owned company has been striving to offer a quality product that installs easy, looks good, and holds up over time, producing bumpers, grab bars, Nerf bars, and other accessories. For 2020, Factory 43 is the aluminum parts choice of the Pheonix Racing Honda team, providing riders like Joel Hetrick, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Chris Borich, and Grayson Eller with their motocross and cross-country versions of Evo Nerf bars and MX-style front bumpers. Head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of products, thanks to Factory 43. We are proud to be partnered with Bikes, Trikes, and Quads, LLC. Bikes, Trikes, and Quads, LLC was started by former racers selling three-wheeler parts out of a barn in upstate New York. Now 10 years later, BTQ LLC has over 40,000 new and used parts in stock, but they haven't forgotten their roots, still offering used OEM parts for three-wheelers, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides. Parts are in stock and ready to ship with guaranteed delivery within 3 days, including free shipping on orders of over $50. Use discount code ATVMX at www.btqllc.com for $10 off of orders $50 or more. We're grateful to have Bikes, Trikes, and Quads LLC digging deep with us, support our industry's small businesses, and thank you BTQ LLC. We are proud of our partnership with Roman Health. On average, Americans are forced to wait 29 days to see a doctor in major U.S. cities. If you're dealing with a condition like erectile dysfunction, you want treatment ASAP. That's why our friends at Roman have spent years building a digital platform to connect you with a licensed doctor in your state from the comfort of your own home. Roman makes it convenient to get the treatment you need on your schedule. Just grab your phone or computer, complete a free online visit, and you'll hear back from a U.S. licensed physician within 24 hours. If the doctor decides that treatment is right for you, Roman's Pharmacy will ship your medication to you with free 2-day shipping. Plus, there's no commitments and you can cancel anytime with Roman. So if you're struggling with ED, go to getroman.com/digging for your free online visit and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/digging for your free online visit and free 2-day shipping. Thanks as always to Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant. Upgrade to Evans now to avoid overheating and boil over next time you hit the track. When conditions are at their worst, Evans is at its best. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP20 to save at checkout, evanscoolant.com. Thanks to Blenders Eyewear, whose Life in Forward Motion brand is the perfect fit to partner with our podcast. You won't find better shades for a more attractive price anywhere else. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP20 to save on the trendiest shades on the market. BlendersEyewear.com.
Thanks to Avocado Green Mattresses, the Avocado mattress offers zoned back support with an internal support unit, meaning whether you are recovering from a hard day of riding or relaxing on a Sunday morning, you are experiencing next-level comfort. With a 100-night sleep trial, free shipping and return pickups, and a 25-year warranty, getting your Avocado Green mattress could not be any easier. Step up your sleep game by visiting avocadomattress.com.
From our new partners to our original sponsors, thanks for supporting the #1 podcast in ATV racing and making this dream a reality for both us and our listeners. We pride ourselves in partnering with only the best brands inside and outside of the industry, so better your riding experience and your lifestyle by supporting the sponsors who support us. And if you enjoy the show, the best thing you can do is support our partners. If you're interested in becoming a partner of the show, shoot me a message or email today for more details. We are running a discounted partnership rate to assist small businesses, so message or email us today to keep your brand relevant. Once again, thanks to all of our sponsors. All right, guys, let's dive into some of the Sunset Ridge talk here. And we're so stoked to be joined once again by one of your favorite co-hosts. He's brought to you by Gripped Gloves. So use discount code DIGGINGDEEP10 to save at grippedgloves.com. It's Seany T, Sean Taylor. What's up, buddy? Thanks for getting back on here.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Excited to talk a little racing here with you. And we had to get you on because I heard, you were going to be at Walnut, and I kind of had this thought in the back of my mind the whole time, that hopefully we could get you on after Walnut to talk the racing because you'd be
Definitely.
there. But then, you informed me as we got kind of close to the races that you were going to be able to do a little wrenching. So, talk to us about that. Tell me how that all came about.
Yeah, I was planning on going to the National anyways, just because it's only 2.5 hours away from the house. And
Yeah.
I think it was Wednesday morning. I just got to work and I got a text from David Eller. And I don't to know the full story on, but Hayden Mickelson needed a mechanic for the weekend, and David's like, "Hey, do you want to wrench for Hayden this weekend?" And in the meantime of that, Tyler Davis had texted me and said that Noah had asked me, and Tyler's from Iowa, and we rode together and stuff. We're pretty good friends, so I was like, okay, yeah, definitely. So I told David I would. I got to wrench for Hayden. I didn't get to see a lot of racing from where we were at on the side of the track, but still got to be there and had the opportunity to wrench for Hayden. And yeah, it was fun. I loved it.
Yeah, to wrench for Pheonix Racing Honda, like that's a pretty big deal. So yeah, that's got to be exciting. So take me through like the day a little bit, because you're a racer first. You were always a racer. So tell me about the day a little bit.
Yeah. So we left early Saturday morning and got there. I wasn't sure. I knew tech started at 8, but I wasn't sure what time it ended. I couldn't remember, and I didn't even ask, to be honest. So I think we got there like 20 after 8, and of course we park and stuff and see a couple people that I knew right away. So I start talking to them. So I'm like, all right, I gotta go. I'm working today.
Yeah, right.
And,
I got a job to do.
and so I get over there, and Hayden's there. I was like, have you teched the bike yet? And he's like, no, I haven't. I was like, okay, I'll go tech it quick, and jump on it, go over and tech it. It doesn't pass sound. It's like, I think it was 100 decibels on the exhaust. So I was like, okay. So we go back to the trailer, and I said, it didn't pass sound. And well, when I was up there, Harv looks at his watch, and he's like, it closed at 9:00. You got 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I didn't put any, I took work boots to work in while still wearing my tennis shoes at the time that had zero sole. I could barely get the quad started up in tech inspection. I get back, and we end up putting a different insert in the exhaust and got back up there, got it tech. But we were right behind on like a 10 by 20 awning tent behind the Pheonix Racing semi. Still had pretty much full access to the semi of whatever Tyler and I needed to help the boys throughout the day. Pretty much fuel was coming from the semi, air filters, parts, everything was coming from the semi.
Yep.
But yeah, well-built machine. I loved working on it. I hadn't worked on one I think the last time I'd wrenched on one is when I was racing. And
Sure.
it pretty much all just like came back to me super fast, and just I had that whole checklist that I used to do on mine memorized, and kind of went through. He didn't really tear much up throughout the day. So it was fairly easy, but just did your normal maintenance and washed it when he came back in. And I did have to get into the carburetor. We changed a pilot jet after the first qualifier, I think. And yeah, man, it was fun. It was good to be back, and it was a little bit different being riding up to the line with him on the back, rather than being the rider. So when we get up there, and I hadn't been to the line in one of those for almost 2.5-3 years. And
Yep.
it really hit when we got up there. And I just tried to, when we were talking to him and pep talk before he'd go out, just trying to, remind him just to relax out there and that he deserved to be out there. He's a great rider, and I was impressed. He struggled a little bit there at the second moto. He got knocked off the track in the first moto and went to the back, and then the second moto just didn't get the start that he wanted. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun day.
Yeah, I mean I'm sure it was, and you're the right guy for the job. We've had this conversation before, as far as like you and I are similar in being like meticulous with our stuff. Your stuff was always clean and obviously well taken care of. So that's really cool. But yeah, like I was going to ask you how weird it was to be on the other side of the like in the mechanics area, and doing that whole thing. And yeah, like I mean, it's kind of weird too because you and Hayden obviously have a relationship from riding from, with Root River, and
Hmm.
you guys
Yeah.
come from a similar area, Iowa and Minnesota, like that whole
Yep.
thing. But yeah, like when you don't do this every week with somebody, like you don't necessarily know what to say. And like, as far as, cause some people want to be talked to, some people want to be built up, some people just want their own deal. So
Yep.
that
Yep.
was kind of the stuff that was in my mind as the race day was playing out there. And I see you, in the mechanics area.
Yeah, and that's what that's one thing I was kind of nervous about. Well, number one, the one main thing I thought it was going to rain, so I was really nervous about the rain. And
Cause then
but
there's a lot of work then.
yeah, there's a lot of work there, and I hadn't wrenched on one forever. And
Uh-huh.
then the other thing is how to how to talk to him. And yeah, like you said, him and I have a background. He came to my house a couple times a summer and stayed for about a week and rode and stuff. So I know him well on a personal level, and I just
Yep.
tried to, I wasn't sure really what to say. I just kind of went on how I would like to, and or how I would like to be talked to at the line, and knew, he's a laid back guy. And I just tried to apply that, just kind of feed off of what he was giving me. I knew he wasn't really happy. He didn't really say it, but I could tell that he wasn't really happy with his qualifying time. And yeah, so I just tried to keep him out of his own head. Basically, I thought, whether I did
Okay.
a job, whether he liked that or not, I don't know. I thought we really clicked throughout the day, and I think he was very appreciative that I was there wrenching for him and stuff. But yeah, it's a totally different thing, because I don't know what it was with the reception. They didn't have TVs up for the live scoring, so everybody had their cell phone out and was on the e-score.
Yep.
And they'd take off, and everybody's standing around like, "Is your phone updating yet? Is your phone updating yet?" Well, by time he'd come across the line and the time would go, and I'm writing the time on the board, he would be just about to me. So I was a little slow on that. I'm like, God, I got to work on this a little bit. But yeah, just trying to write stuff on the board for him, let him know he was at. It was definitely different, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's very cool. And not in a I've been wondering like what was going on there. As far as like, cause I thought I had heard the bike maybe like bobble a little bit in time qualifying or something. So I didn't know if you guys were having a problem, because I've been trying to piece this together all year, kind of, because both of the Mickelsons, it seems like, have been struggling, not in a derogatory manner whatsoever,
Right.
but like I expect big things of them. Cause like you said, I mean, Hayden is very, very, very naturally talented. It's his
Yeah.
second or third year in the pro class now. And then Noah too. It's like I expect such big things from him because he's so damn naturally talented. And it's like I didn't know if they were both struggling with like mechanical stuff or if they're both just trying to find their footing still early in the season here.
Yeah. It was like, it was cool being, because they both were, pretty much by the tent and the trailer most of the day when we were there. And Ty and I we're talking about when they're both out there, what's he doing wrong? And so it was just weird how it just seemed like we'd been doing it for a while. When we went back to the trailer, it was like all four of us talking. David Eller would, always was coming over and like, hey, whatever you need, don't forget, come get it. And
Okay.
but yeah, he just kept coming over, making sure everything are okay. Do you guys need this? You need this? And yeah, it was just I was comfortable doing it. And but yeah, I don't know. I know in the second moto, Noah, I think someone cross jumped him and they hit each other in the air, and Noah about went down. And I know that I think he wasn't very happy about that, and probably mentally maybe spooked him a little bit and just kind of
Of
shook him,
course.
put him off his game. And I think that was up with the second moto for him. And I know Hayden just struggles a little bit with his starts, and that he'd worked on him. He'd worked on him the week before coming to the race, and I thought he got a great start in the first moto. He was right there, top 10 area, 10, 11, and Noah ran seventh for a little bit. So they both got a good start the first moto, and then the second moto. Yeah, I'm just not sure. Just seeing, I don't know I know the track was rough, super, super rough, and was beating the
Yeah, it
guys
was.
up quite a bit, and it was pretty warm too. So yeah, it just seemed, I just think it's, maybe both of them kind of get in their heads a little bit, and, but definitely a lot of talent from both of them. And, I hope they do well the rest of the year. We kind of talked at the end of the second moto on, you had good stuff come out of today, and you had bad stuff, and that's just one thing you need to work on when you go, in the off weeks. So no, it was awesome to kind of, diagnose each moto and qualifying and stuff. Just, I don't know, it felt good to do that from a different, from a mechanic perspective.
Of course. And you have, I mean, there's no substitute for the experience that you have, so yeah, for sure. Like, that's really cool. It's cool to see, to get, I guess, an inside like view of the atmosphere there, because you're always worried about that, right? Like, you don't know when things aren't going well on the racetrack, things can be compounded if the atmosphere isn't good. And
Right.
it's cool to hear that the atmosphere seems like it's pretty good over there, because honestly, I keep thinking like this is going to be the week where you're going to see one of those boys in the top, 6, 7, 8. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden Noah is 6th or 7th or 8th, like we saw him at Crawfordsville last year. Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think those two each, they have their tracks to where they're probably more comfortable at than other ones. And yeah, I think that they'll break out here throughout the season once they kind of get comfortable. Make some changes and stuff, but no, it's coming. They're due, and definitely both of them work on their starts. And yeah, I mean, Noah showed that he's got the ability to run, top 7 there for a little bit. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it should be really interesting, and gonna want to keep tabs on those guys,
yep,
kind of as the season goes on here. So let's get into the rest of the racing a little bit. I know you said from the mechanics area, you're not able to see a ton of stuff, but you're able to keep tabs on a little bit, I'm sure. And obviously, you're right around the racing and the
yeah.
racers, so that's why I kind of wanted you to be able to be a part of this. So, but before we get too much into the racing, let's hear from the guy who stole the show at Sunset Ridge before we do anything else. All right, guys, you may not know this, but we basically started this podcast to tell this guy's story. We didn't necessarily have an end goal at the time or know the path or how big this thing was going to get. But it's been about a year since we told the Chad Wienen story. We'll forever be grateful for the way that he instantly put us on the map and all his involvement with us since then. Brought to you by Wienen Motorsports, following his latest win this past weekend at Sunset Ridge. Say hello to Chad Wienen. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Cody. Always good to come on, and yeah, especially after a nice home race win. And it was a very special weekend for us, and we're definitely one that I'm going to remember.
Yeah, I mean, so glad to get you on. Of course, you had another stellar weekend at Sunset Ridge, grabbing your second win of the year, obviously. But, we all know Walnut as your home track, but how special is that place for you? Because, you got your first pro podium there back in 2006. And since then, you've won the event a record 8 times. So you just have to feel like you have a wave of momentum the moment you step foot on the property, huh?
Yeah, definitely. And I think probably the coolest part about it is that I've been racing there for 20 years. And my first race was there in 2000. So pretty cool that, been able to, race competitively and professionally that long, not necessarily 20 years, but just being still in racing and being a part of it. And then winning a pro national, 20 years after I've been first time I stepped on the property. So, and, obviously the family, the Pistol family that owned the place, like, were, they're like family to us. And we really, hit it off right away. And, it's always special going on their premises and, with their expertise they have for the track and the care that they put into it. And, they really do love having us there.
They definitely do. Yeah, they treat us like their own, and they almost claim you as their own. So it's a really cool relationship to see. So take me through, Chad. Take me through your train of thought leading up to the weekend. Like, do you put pressure on yourself knowing that you don't want to let an opportunity get away? I guess at a track where you typically have an advantage, or do you come in like licking your chops because it's home soil? Tell me your kind of train of thought there.
I mean, really just coming off of Muddy Creek, like we found a really good setup. I was like, we got something. Like we made a big move there to make our machine just work the way that I wanted it. And I'm like, all right, like I really started licking my chops going into sunset. So I was like, I got the machine exactly where I want it. And we get to sunset, we go out for the first qualifier, and I'm like, the setup's not quite right. So we make another good change that we nailed, and then we got the pole position on the qualifier, and then it was like game on from there. Like my confidence level just went to the roof, and I was like, I'm gonna win this thing. So I went out that first moto and came out like 5th, and just kind of battled my way through there. But I don't know if you want to get that far into it, but just my train of thought just going into that race, like I told Thomas, I'm like, dude, I'm winning this race. Like I told him, straight up, he's been staying at my house, and I was like, I'm sorry, bud, but I'm gonna win this thing. And just my confidence just going in was at all-time high. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, obviously it was pretty apparent to see on the racetrack. You started to talk about, like you mentioned, time qualifying there. This is something I always kind of wanted to ask you, because like some of the great two-wheeled motocross athletes, almost always you are able to earn your fastest heater lap in time qualifying on the final lap of the second session. So take me through how you can casually drop your lap time by nearly 2 seconds when you finally have to do so. Like, it simply blows my mind.
Well, I really don't know. It doesn't happen all the time. Like it's not really planned that way. Just sometimes like you don't grease a full lap, and I came out and I was just like, I was kind of okay with not necessarily like getting the fastest lap time, but I kind of wanted to make a statement right away and kind of try to set the tone.
You definitely sent a message there. And yeah, I mean, like you said, then you started to talk about the motos, and you talked about feeling good heading into the races with the top qualifier in Moto 1. You didn't start right at the front, but you were able to kind of fly through the pack there and cut your way into Joel's lead. So then going into Moto 2, you kind of put on a clinic. So talk about that. And it had to be extra special to do it in front of your friends and family, and including a very pro Chad Wienen crowd.
Yeah, like I mean, the first moto, I mean, the start position was so important. That first turn, and I actually was in front of Joel there, and then I got tapped a little bit wide, and he got underneath me, but made some like a quick move on Nick to get into 4th, and then we had Thomas and Bryce got a good start. He got the whole shot, so it really had to work for a couple laps to try and get around them. I really wasn't like falling into my groove right away, but it once I got around them, I was able to click off my laps and really get cut into the lead.
Yeah, yeah, it seemed like yeah, you were able to cut into the lead there, and then that made things interesting going into Moto 2 because it was like, if you start up front, you're going to be dangerous. So, talk about that feeling in Moto 2 because take me through, I guess, what it feels like to have that kind of flow because everything just has to slow down for you. I mean, Brooke kind of looked over at me and said, it looked like you were on a Sunday cruise as you're yarding the field. So talk about that feeling you had there in Moto 2. It looked like everything was clicking.
Yeah, like I can't really explain it. It just things just start to work effortlessly, and definitely that first moto, like I put on a charge the whole race, like, and I did everything I could to try and bridge that gap down to nothing so I could try and get it on the back tires of them and try to move them into a mistake. But, Joel really put on a charge too. And, that second moto just coming out and getting that whole shot and, first couple laps, I didn't really pour it on too heavy. And then usually around like the third lap is when I really started to pour it on and, hit all my marks. And that's the way I love to ride. Like I like to ride just smooth, calculated, and ride my own race and not be trying to necessarily tag on to somebody or ride somebody else's pace and just try to do my own thing. And it just worked out so well. And I felt like I couldn't do anything wrong to, to drop the place or, to make a mistake. And it just, everything just went so right for me.
Yeah, it looked like I mean that was a vintage Chad Wienen performance, but it was like as good of a ride as I can remember you having in a really long time. So and it never stops amazing me like the way you're able to manipulate the bike to keep your tires on the ground and driving forward. It was easy to see everybody else bouncing all over the place and and some of those ruts and potholes were nasty and it was like watching your machine, it was like none of that even affected you. It's truly legendary. It's like that's what I'm gonna remember you by. It was that manipulation of the bike is just crazy.
Yeah, like I just love tracks that get, blown out rough that you got to have some finesse and, not override the machine, but just finesse the machine through the bumps. And that's the kind of conditions that I just love to ride. And, man, like I wish that we had more tracks in the circuit that did tender to just rough, blown out, ruddy, you know, tougher conditions. But like I think Walnut this year was definitely a different Walnut than normal. It was super fast in areas that didn't get rough, and then we had areas that did get really rough and weird rough at some points. So like it definitely did show us a different side to Walnut, I think, this weekend than a typical one that gets super train track ruddy. And it just it threw another curveball at us, and we were able to nail our setup and get a win.
Yeah, Walnut was really good. I thought it made for some really good racing, and yeah, I mean you were the class of the field, that's for sure. So next up is Pleasure Valley. It's the first time that we'll have been there since 2010. What do you remember about that track, and what's it going to take for you to be the first rider to grab 3 wins this season?
Oh man, I mean it's been 10 years, I think, since we've been there, or more.
Yep,
11
yep,
maybe.
11. Yep, sir. Since
And
2010. Yep.
the the most vague memory that I have is when I pretty much lost a championship in 2009 in Macaulay when I got in the first turn tangle up and it broke my kill switch and the machine stopped. So I try to forget about that one, but it was the track wasn't it was like there was good racing on it. It seemed like the legendary Creamer Bird Wimmer battle there that turned to turned to get ugly at the end. But
Yeah.
I feel like this year seems like Jeff Sternick is really motivated to have the event there. So I'm pretty excited to, get out there and see what he has in store for us. And the track has a lot of good elevation, and, the most that I've seen it is actually on Joel's Instagram. So
Yeah.
I've seen he's been there a couple times, and it looked like they had a really nice roller section. So that kind of gets me excited.
Yeah, for sure. You and me both. I'm always up for a good roller or whoop section. But yeah, I think that I love when a promoter really wants to have an ATV race. So happy to go to a track like Pleasure Valley with Jeff Cernick's there. I think that's really cool. Before I let you go, Chad, I have to ask you about Max Lindquist. The Wienen Motorsports riders reeled off 3 consecutive Pro-Am victories to start his 450 career. What do you got to say about this kid? Was this what you were expecting?
Man, I knew he had the potential to definitely do this, but I know that his starts are, they're not predictable at all times. And, I think that's so important. But the way that Max has like a no give up attitude, that's what really put me onto him to start. I got a little story for you. Like,
Okay.
2 years ago, we went out to Walnut and rode one day, and it was a 90-degree day. We've already ridden, 3 motos, and I was like, all right, let's do one more. And we kind of just made like a little bet, like, hey, if I lap you, you gotta wash my machine, but if I don't lap you, then I gotta wash yours.
Okay.
And I 3/4 tracked him, but the kid never gave up. And I think a lot of kids he was 15 years old or 14 years old at the time.
14, yeah. On a
14 years
250.
old on a 250, going out there and doing a pro moto. So it was 18+2 on a 90-degree day.
Wow.
And so once we finished, I was like, all right, man, like, I'll wash your bike at Redbud on Sunday. So I withheld my end of the deal, and ever since then I've put a lot of good effort into him and got him on like one of my machines, and we tendered it to him. We had to make a lot of changes to get it right for him, and once we found that, he's got a lot of potential. I see him being a really good part of the future. I see a lot of myself in him, so I want to be able to really carry on the torch, with him and help him out, and maybe put him in like my spot when it's time for me to step away.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't be in a better position to learn from somebody. Nobody better to learn from. The cool thing is you talk about how that day Max kind of showed something to you. And it's funny because the Lindquists were just telling me this story, Max's parents on Saturday this past weekend. And they were talking about how that scenario showed them your character and how great of a man you are, because you made this promise to Max, you made this little bet with Max, and you could have easily forgot when Redbud came, or not made it a priority or whatever, and you were true to your word, washed his quad and stuff. So that was really cool. So I couldn't talk to you without asking you about Max and how great of a job he's done so far. It's been truly incredible, really. So yeah, he's in a good spot to kind of follow in your footsteps. But yeah, Chad, can't thank you enough for giving me a little bit of your time here, and wanted to get a little update after Walnut, another hometown win, and yeah, it was a dominant performance. So I wanted to be able to hear from you, and yeah, can't thank you enough for your time, and thanks for all of your support of the show, of course, and always giving us just a little bit of your time, and yeah, good luck on the 4th of July in PA.
Thanks a lot, Cody. And yeah, definitely, always good to come on and voice my, what I had go on this weekend. And, I think you're doing a great job with this, and we're proud. Wienen Motorsports is a proud supporter of it. So, it's a cool thing, and I'll keep it rolling,
Yeah, we can't thank you enough for everything, Chad, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Oh yeah, poke your head in down at our truck down at PA. We want we want to talk to you a little more, give you some more heads up on little things,
Oh, happy to.
behind the scenes stuff, so you can share.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll see you there.
All right, man.
Thanks. Congrats.
Later. Thanks. All right, see you, Cody.
So you heard from Big Chad there, and man, it was a vintage Chad Wienen bludgeoning at Sunset Ridge, man. He took the top spot in time qualifying. He charged through the pack in Moto 1, cut way into Joel's lead, and then absolutely dominated Moto 2. This looked like Chad Wienen of about 6 or 7 years ago, don't you think, Sean?
Dude was a freak on that track. I like some of the stuff he was doing where I could see at and coming into some of the turns compared to everybody else was, you said it right there. It was like the Chad Wienen we saw when he was in Carpe Diem 4 when he got the factory Suzuki ride and he's out at the nut shredding by himself that day. That's the Chad Wienen I feel like we saw on Saturday. And in Moto 1, every time they go by and his mechanic would have the pit board out, and it was like he was he was in 209s and Joel was in the 210s, and it's like, okay, the race is getting close to an end and he's gaining on him. How close is he going to get close enough to make a move on him or not? But Joel ran a pretty solid pace there the last 2-3 laps, and Chad wasn't able to reel him in any closer than what he did. And then Moto 2 got the start that he needed to get and said, see you later, I'm gone. Yeah, man, some of the coming into past the mechanics area, there was an outside, there was an inside with like a roller, and they had a berm built up, and then it was kind of like a down, little downhill jump, and he ran the inside, running that inside hump, and was like jumping the hump and kind of landed sideways into the corner on the berm, and he made that look so easy all day. And everybody else, I know Joel about threw it away there, probably 2 laps in a row where he hit it and it kind of kicked the bike up on its side, and I thought he was going to crash one lap. And everybody else, it just seemed like nobody was hitting that turn faster than he was. It was crazy.
Yeah, and Walnut honestly has been one of those tracks where Chad, I mean, he's won now 8 times there, but like of the last couple of years, him and Joel have been pretty close. And like you said, Chad we heard from Chad, and he said that, he was trying to get there in Moto 1, but in Moto 2, I think you knew he had the speed in Moto 1. He just couldn't quite all the way get it done.
Yep.
Man, that with the speed that he had, track was a little rougher in Moto 2. And then now we know, because we heard it on the Rip It Up Films video, that Joel wanted to split motos. That was his goal. So, man, Chad got the start there in Moto 2, and man, he set sail. But credit to Joel, like you said. I mean, he's split motos at Chad's home track and didn't lose a single point on the day. Like I said, come to find out, that was kind of Joel's goal, is to just get in and out of there with kind of the same points gap that he had. And now we're going to his home track at Pleasure Valley. What do you think the over under is that Joel picks up his 3rd win of the season in PA?
I've seen videos of Joel riding there early, or I guess middle of the year. It was probably a month or so ago. He rode there a couple times, and it's just with those hard packed tracks. I've seen it all years of racing with him, and being at the races and watching him on hard packed tracks that get dry and slick, and I don't know what it is, but the kid's he's on it. He's a freak and something like that. And it's kind of like you compare when you get Wienen on a track that was at Walnut. Wienen's bike was working great last weekend. You could obviously tell that. And that's, Wienen's a freak and something like that. And then when you go to these hard packed tracks, it's just it's totally opposite with Joel. It's fun to watch them both on the tracks that they excel at.
Of course it is. Yeah, you're exactly right. Cause that was my exact train of thought is, with Chad on some of those rough tracks with, Walnut, Redbud, those type of tracks, it's like, man, he's going to be tough to beat. And it's same with Joel when you get to those dry slick or hard, fast tracks. And, you would have raced Pleasure Valley like 11, 12 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yep. Go underneath the bridge, the concrete start. I don't know if it's still, I don't know if it is still concrete or not.
I remember that. Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
Go out into the bridge, and I crashed in the whole shot in Pro-Am there, and we went under that bridge and someone came from the outside of the bridge over into me and I hit the mechanics area and flipped all through there. It was ridiculous. But it makes you wonder if, what Chad's mentality is. Obviously, he needs to cut the points lead, but at the same time, obviously if you can, same thing with Joel last week. If you get the win, get the win. But if you can, keep it from Joel gaining any points or, Chad gaining points. And, if Chad left, let's say they flip flop again next weekend, I'm sure Chad would probably be happy with that of, especially being at one of Joel's home track, basically.
Yeah, the one difference, I guess, is, and we heard from Chad a little bit there, and he said that, he's saw the videos of Pleasure Valley off of Joel's Instagram, but he's also excited about the fact that looks like there's a big roller whoop section there, and that's right up Chad's alley. So we'll see. It is a little bit different, I think, because I don't know up until now how often quads were riding at Pleasure Valley. I had never really hadn't heard about it. And with Sunset, with Walnut, I mean, you can ride there a lot. I mean, Chad's done probably tens of thousands of laps around there. So a little bit different, but yeah, like, how it is, race close to home, you automatically have like just a little bit of a momentum, it seems like, especially if you got some family and friends and kind of a home crowd there. So, I mean, like you said, though, I mean, man, 60, 65, 70% chance that Joel wins there. And I just, probably the exact same odds I would have gave Chad winning at Walnut.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're probably onto something, if Chad could split motos, maybe he'd be happy. But it also, going down that road makes me think, because Jeffrey on an earlier show brought up that the different schedule is really interesting to him and how it's going to lend to other riders, because I mean, the schedule was always the same, and down the stretch, you'd have Sunset like we just had, then, so that was a toss up. Then you'd go to Unadilla, and that was, all Joel. Then you'd go to Redbud, kind of a toss up. And then Loretta's was all Joel a lot of times. And then, last year was Crawfordsville, another very Joel Hetrick like track. Now this year, schedule's totally different with South of the Border and the Texas round, Underground at the end, and Loretta's. I'm not going to break any news here, but I know that Loretta's is up in the air. That could get moved. And we also, I mean, I hope Redbud happens. That's my favorite race of the year, like it is for so many people. But Michigan's one of those states where things are a little sketchy. So the different schedule does really interest me in how it's going to play into one favor or the other,
Is there, and then there's one race like in October, the first weekend of October, right?
Yeah, so I think it must be that South of the Border is, I believe, September, and then Texas is October, I think, or vice versa.
I think it's vice versa, because I think it's out east somewhere. I might be going to that one, and okay. I might go to Redbud to just leave Friday night. Get over there. It's late. But
so okay, gotcha. So so it's Pleasure Valley, then Redbud, then Loretta's as of right now, and then those two last ones, Texas and South of the Border, whatever order they're in. So should be really interesting. So so Chad wins 2-1, Joel 1-2, they tie on points, Chad gets the overall. And then Thomas goes 3-3. He was clearly the third best guy on the day. And I have these epiphanies from time to time that I just want to make sure that I'm the guy that's giving Thomas enough credit, because I think at times he's lost, or overlooked just as being the third guy.
Yep.
And he's still, I need to drive home that he's still so damn strong. It was just a very typical, really, really good Thomas Brown-like day, where he's clearly ahead of the rest of the pack, but just a little bit off from those top two guys. And so, I mean, this is me just giving Thomas a lot of credit, because to be the third guy on the podium and you don't get that photo op from the podium like we're used to doing, that man, he was strong, and he's trying to make up points because he's got a couple tough motos. Yeah. So he was good on the day. And let me ask you this, Sean, because like this was the first race that you attended, obviously this season. Did anybody like, and again, you said that you weren't able to watch all the racing, but did anybody wow you, or did anybody stand out, even maybe not even with the racing, but where they say they qualified, where they finished? I mean, did you have anybody that's really stood out to you?
I was impressed with all the young kids
Yeah.
number one, just to say all the young kids that have moved up. I feel like even just watching them in qualifying that I remember seeing these, when I was racing, these kids were, coming off of mods, just
They
getting
were,
on a 450
yeah.
and stuff. And now they're running pro class, and those kids have
Yep.
really stepped it up. I thought they all looked really good. Bryce Ford, his speed obviously showed some, in Moto1, showed some real speed for a while. And, Brandon Hogue continues to, keep getting better and better.
Yep.
Uh, Nick Janusa, man, bummer for him. I thought that he had a good day. It seemed like he had good starts that he'd been looking for. And what is he running? Fourth place? No, was he on fourth or fifth place there? Second moto with 2 laps to go. And he
He
had a
was, yeah, he was running sixth with 2 laps to go, but he was in position to be top 5 overall, like he
yes,
always is.
yeah,
And yeah, that was, and I believe the box score doesn't show how good Nick Janusa was. And yeah, like all the young kids, man, are that rookie class is living up to the hype.
yeah,
It really is.
yeah.
But I guess if you were going to ask me that question, where I was, seeing where you were going to take that. And if my answer was not Chad, who stood out, throw Chad out of this, I would have to go with Bryce Ford, because he qualified top 3 for the second consecutive week. He hole shot in Moto1, led the first laps of his pro career, and had a very impressive 4-5 day for 4th overall. That means he's clearly been the 4th best guy at 2 events this season, because he got 4th at Daytona. He got 4th this weekend. He was 4th in the second moto at Muddy Creek, which was strong. And I mean, he's only like, this is his 4th professional event. Like, man, so impressive.
Yeah, he looked really good, especially those opening laps. Leading, I thought he looked really really well. And then that second moto, him and Brandon Hogue would seem to battle for a long long time. And when those
Dude.
guys, that was a fun one to watch there for a little bit,
Yeah.
when they were kind of on the side of the track that I could see. That was a good one to watch. That was fun to watch, and that was a good second moto to watch those two.
It was. Yeah, they were battling hard. And I saw Bryce on the first lap, maybe of the first or second lap of the second time qualifier, dude. And he was just going for it. And like, he's so aggressive and so animated in his riding that it makes him always look like he's flying. But
Yeah.
dude, I'm like this. Yeah, he was just to think that he's so young into his professional career, and that he's able to mix it up with them guys. It's gnarly. So that's going to be really fun to watch. So Bryce was 4th overall on the day. Brandon, like you said, was 5th. He got Bryce in the second moto, but Bryce got him for that 4th spot. Brandon was 5th. And, yeah, like Brandon, and he told me before the weekend, he's like, man, if I can just get some starts, because he said, I haven't felt that good up to this point. And he's been, he's got a podium at Muddy Creek. He's basically kind of been the 4th guy, and he's been 3rd in points. I mean, he's been killing it. So he said basically, as soon as he starts feeling it, he's even going to take another jump, he thinks. And that'll be really interesting. I mean, I think you're going to see Bryce Ford and Brandon Hogue battle a ton, probably for as long as the two are around the sport, honestly.
Yeah, I would say those two are, you'll be able to see a lot of those two are always going to be finding each other on the track. It seems like, but yeah, Bryce Ford, he led some laps. So if he can get a little bit more comfortable doing that, I mean, he'll find that extra speed getting pushed by, the best guys that are behind him.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, Brandon, I thought Brandon, looked really well. And I thought really when he would come around, I thought he was following Bryce's lines there for a few laps, like too much. Maybe should have tried to move out of the way, and or move move over and try a different line to, I just feel like there was a couple times where he was just, it was bumper to grab bar is how
Oh
close
yeah.
it was to him. And just, he would have stepped out of that line and just tried something, because there were some spots that I saw Bryce pull away from him, but then Brandon would just, reel him back in and be right back on him again.
Yeah,
But
so we know that because you and I have both trained with the program. We know that Bryce is now on that program, so he's going to get stronger and stronger. You could tell just late in the race that Brandon had a little bit more pace than he did, and I think what it looked like, because I had a different vantage point than you, and yeah, like it looked, even from my vantage point, it looked like they had to be touching each other. They were so close, but it looked like Brandon had just a few spots, and he was going to stay on his tail and then just try to make the pass in those few spots. And eventually he got by. So, yeah, that was a great battle there. So those guys were fourth and fifth. Wesley Wolf was sixth. That's a Wesley Wolf, super Wesley Wolf like day. Another good ride for him. He was, basically averaged a sixth place finish last year. So he's been on that pace. I just think, you can't say that he's not better than he was last year. The class is just so good right now. So sixth is crazy respectable in that class. Alan Myers was seventh, which is, again, he continues to be really strong week in and week out. And then we get to eighth, and that's where Jeffrey finished. He's 7-8 for eighth. He came out and said that he has some breathing issues that he's dealing with. And obviously you could see like something is going on.
Yeah.
I just, I feel terrible for him, because it's been year after year where he's dealing with a variation of something different.
Yep.
And I'm worried, because I'm obviously a big Jeffrey fan. We grew up racing together. I'm a guy that always pulls for Jeffrey. I think you are too. And I'm worried that this is going to be the end of us seeing Jeffrey in the pro class at the races.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that too, just because it didn't seem like he had a good day. And I know he left fairly quickly after the race. I don't think he was feeling that all that well. It just, I think Wesley got him there the last couple, like the last lap or two, maybe.
Yep, he did.
Just, come on, man, get him. I don't know if he was getting beat up or something, the heat, and then how rough.
Well, and if he says he's having those breathing issues, I mean, you know how it is. If you can't get oxygen in, it just compounds every issue you're having,
Yeah, tightening up and getting arm pump, I hope not. I think we're still waiting on him to have that race to where he, can break out and, get a good finish and maybe just kind of get that confidence back, because I feel like, like right now, he might just be in his head with everything that's kind of going on. And then to him, it just seemed like he's like, gosh, dang, it just didn't have the weekend we were looking for. He came out second, I think that second moto, and it just kind of seemed to fall backwards a little bit. But
it happened pretty fast. It happened like in the first couple laps, he gave up some spots, and but yeah, man, and you know how it is. Like if you're dealing with something, I know Jeffrey's dealt with this exact same thing before, where it's been a different issue, but at the beginning of the race, it's like you don't want to push way too hard and burn yourself out.
Yep.
And I just Jeffrey would be battling. I mean, we saw it for years, him battling with Thomas, and he'd be right up there. You got to believe he would if he was 100%. And I just hate, we talked coming into the season wanting to see Jeffrey at 100%. And I mean, now we're in like the same situation again, where it's like he's got one arm tied behind his back, and I just feel terrible. I feel terrible for the guy.
Yeah. I hope he can get it turned around and get it all figured out. I'm sure the Pheonix guys, if it is a bike issue or, from that standpoint, the Pheonix guys are going to do whatever they can to get him comfortable. And then, surely he's going to try to do as much as he can to take care of his health and, make sure gets up to 100%. And if he is having breathing issues, get that to figure out why he's having breathing issues and, try to get it taken care of. So.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think, like I said, I speak for the both of us that we're pulling for him. And I mean, hopefully he can turn this thing around starting at Pleasure Valley. So 9th is Troy Hill. super solid. I mean, I want to give this guy a lot of credit because that's his second top 10 in a row. And you already mentioned it a little bit, but that class of rookies is really, really good. The class as a whole is really, really good. So Troy Hill comes in 9th overall. And then you started to talk about Nick Janusa. He came in 10th overall, but he was, he was 5th in the first moto, and he was 6th with 2 to go in the second moto. He was in position to be 5th overall. And then he had kind of that mechanical issue. So tough one for
Bummer
Nick
for 'em.
Janusa. But yeah, if he can get the starts that he talked about on recent episodes here, maybe he can turn it around. But I feel like it sucks for him to miss that opportunity, because that's a Nick Janusa type track, I feel like.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. And like, he looked good. He looked good all day up until that point. He looked great in qualifying, and yeah, that's a bummer for him. I thought he was going to have a good finish there. And because I thought that his starts were better than what they'd had been, in the
Yeah.
previous races.
For sure. Absolutely. And we saw that he had mentioned it, teased it a little bit here. I saw that he got the starting gate from Pat Brown. So,
Got her
yeah,
set up.
there you go. So hopefully he just keeps getting better at the starts and can kind of turn this thing around. And cause he's been 4th or 5th in every single points, race that he's ever been in. So, we expect him to be up there. So
Yep.
that kind of concludes the top 10. Brogan Geyer ended up 11th overall. That tied his best so far. He was 11th at Daytona. So that's a solid day for Brogan. We heard from him on the podcast last week, and I thought that was a good listen. And Wes Lewis was 12th. He won't be pumped with that because he said he was trying to be 10th at every race. But who knows what he was dealing with there, because he's been a top 10 guy at every race so far, and he would have had it last week too if it wasn't for a mechanical on the last lap of the second moto. So he'll look to turn it around at Pleasure Valley. And 13th was Cody Ford, who's been dealing with some really tough health stuff, some injuries and other things, but he's going to turn it around. I know that the Ford Brothers Racing team there is totally behind him and just going to be ready as soon as he's sees the successes that we know he's got coming. I talked about in the preseason show with you, Sean, that he's, he was my pick for most improved pro. And I think that, that's still in him. Like, the Ford Brothers team still keeps telling me that he's having really good practice laps. He's putting in really good efforts there, and it's just hasn't quite shown at the races yet. So you know how it is. It could be as simple as just not getting the start you need. And in a class that fast, that'll take all the wind out of your sails. So
Yeah.
I think, like we said with the Mickelsons, I think that, Cody is one of those guys that's going to turn it around, and it's just going to happen one of these weeks. And I'm not going to be surprised when it does.
No, I talked to him. I'm trying to think if it was on qualifying or it was before Moto 1. I talked to him a little bit there, and yeah, he said he was still kind of dealing with some issues, and it was getting better, but he was just kind of seemed like he was just kind of taking it day by day and trying, working hard and trying to ride as much as he could just to kind of get back to where he should be.
Yeah, and you and I both dealt with some stuff before. Like, man, it's so tough because you need to ride, you need to train, but when you're injured somewhat, you just it's like you don't know if you're doing yourself a favor or doing yourself a disservice. Like, you're just digging a bigger hole, and that's really tough to recover and also try to race through it at the same time. So
yeah.
So that's really tough. 14th was Noah, and he was 11-14 for 14th. And again, I think that he's just one of those guys. It's crazy to me to see Noah 14th because he's so freaking talented. But again, I think he's one of those guys that's going to have a breakout ride. And then you and Hayden ended up 15th overall. And again, I think that, it was cool to hear some insight into your guys' day there. And I think that, again, he's one of those guys that's gonna all of a sudden turn it around too.
Yeah, I think so. Between both of them, I think we'll see. They'll have better results than what they did last weekend, and maybe we'll see how they do at Pleasure Valley. Maybe they like the hard pack stuff a little bit better than that nasty rough train track stuff. But yeah, I thought everybody did well. The rookies really stood out, and it was good to be at the track and get to see it firsthand, be right there that close, and just watch the speed that the young kids have nowadays is just crazy.
It's gnarly. And another guy that had obviously but a bad of his weekend is he could imagine is Logan Stanfield, who
Yeah.
ended up 16th. And in the first moto there, he was passing up through the pack, getting close to the top 10. And then his bike seemed to give up the ghost there with just a few laps left. Then in the second moto, I know that they were scrambling to get an engine in. They got an engine in for the second moto, and man, right away I saw a puff of white smoke, and I knew, I literally said, I think probably Brooke was around me, and I said to her, I'm like, I bet you that one of them clamps on the radiator didn't get tightened enough. And then that's exactly what Logan said it was. And you know how it is when you're scrambling and there's a bunch of different people changing something. I mean,
Yeah.
it just happens. And like, you have to be in scramble mode because there isn't enough time between those races to like dot every I and cross every T. You just got to hope that you can make it happen.
I think by time you get back to the truck and get back to the truck, get the bag and everything off, they get off the quad, I think it's right around an hour. You have maybe an hour and 10 minutes turnaround to get the
Tops.
clean. Yeah, tops. To get and that's you knowing for a fact you're going to show up to the gate. You're going to be last gate pick because you're not going to make it, by what time?
20 minutes prior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not going to make it. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much exactly how it was. We were on the far outside, and very last minute they were getting ready to do the parade lap, and he showed up, and I'm sure that you probably got at least 3 sets of hands going in there and tightening stuff up, and
all of that. I saw pictures. I think there was at least that 3, 4, 5 dudes. And that stinks for Logan because it's a homish like race for him, just like you coming from Iowa, me coming from Wisconsin. He's from Indiana.
Yeah.
And so that was tough for him, but he's been so solid this season, like clearly top 10 guy. And then, he crashed running 6th last week late in the race. So he's one of those guys that he's been so solid that, don't look at the 16th and think that's kind of where he was at on the day.
No, I watched him a little bit in qualifying, and I would have put him top 10 easily, just kind of watching qualifying. He looks good. He looks fit, and he looked great on the quad.
100%. And some other notables, as we kind of finish up the pro class there, the pro stock class went Chad Wienen in dominant fashion, Thomas Brown in second. And then we were just talking about Logan Stanfield with an impressive third, and he totally redeemed himself, totally redeemed the weekend. He ran second for a good share of the second moto, and he grabbed third overall. And I know that him and the 969 team were all hanging their hat on that ride, and rightfully so. He hung on to Chad for a minute, and then, like I said, ran second there, earned third for third overall. And that was really good for him. So a good turnaround, and that stock class is so cool.
Yeah, it is. It'd be nice to hang around for a Sunday to watch the stock class, and just to see, all the different guys in it, and, see some of the top pro riders that are in it. It's definitely a cool way to, promote going out, and just, you can go out and just buy yourself a stock Yamaha and, show up to the track and race it. That's what the top guys are doing. So that's cool that the sport's doing that.
Yeah, pretty sure that both of us would jump in there if we had the chance. We'd do it in a heartbeat. So also Max Lindquist, 3 for 3 in Pro-Am overalls to start his 450 career. You heard from Chad there talking about it a little bit, and incredible job by him. He's going to be a major part of the future of ATV motocross, I think. And I don't know if you saw any of those Pro-Am motos, Sean, but man, Max Lindquist has been riding like a man possessed there in Pro-Am.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that he's riding really good, and he's super fast. And I didn't get to watch any of the pro-ams. I didn't know they raced pro-am on Saturday. Do they do both motos on Saturday, or just they do
Yeah.
both on Saturday?
Yep. Yep. It's,
Um,
it's a lot different than it used to be.
yeah, it is. But I heard his name, and those guys all went up to watch it. I heard his name, and yeah, it sounded like he was putting in some laps, and um, but yeah, it sounded like he's pretty much dominating pro-am right now.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's kind of the two-man show with him, and obviously spoke about the future of the sport. Speaking of the future of the sport too, you have to include Zach Decker. That's the two-man show in Pro-Am, and Zach Decker won his third consecutive pro mod class overall, and that was another great job for him. We're gonna have him on the show next week, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, those two kids, because they're both 16. Max told me, like, they're going to be in the pro class soon, and that's just
Very soon.
even more of these young guys just dicing it up, and the health of the sport right now, at least at the very top, is very strong. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Jaden JJ Launderville. He's kind of part of that Pheonix team that you were wrenching
Yep.
for this week, and he won all three of the 250 classes. And man, you got to be gnarly to be able to do that. So to win Youth All Star, Schoolboy Senior, and 250 mod all in the same weekend, amazing job for him, and he's definitely definitely deserving of the credit there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
No,
And then go ahead.
I was just gonna compliment it. He's got the dual exhaust on that 250 mod. I saw that. I checked it out a little bit when I had some time, and I was like, dang, that's nice. The dual Yoshis.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember him from back when you were still racing the pro class or whatever, but he's about 3 feet taller than he was back then. He looks
Yeah,
like
I know.
Chad. He looks like Chad now, and back then he was like up to my shoulders.
Short. That's fun.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy seeing those kids. How when I was racing, those kids were young kids, and now they're grown up riding the 450s and winning pro-ams, and that's crazy.
yeah, it's unreal. All right, Sean, so you said that you may be back at some races this season doing a little more wrenching, you think?
Oh, I don't know about wrenching. Like I said, I might try just Redbud's 5.5, 6 hours from home. And after going to Walnut and just kind of got that back, it's like I haven't been to Redbud since 2017. Or actually, I went to the Donations, but I
Yep.
haven't been to the Quad National since 17. And so I don't know. I thought about maybe jumping in the truck Friday night after work and driving and just hanging out that weekend. As of right now, I'd just be hanging out, no
Okay.
wrenching. And
Okay.
maybe the last round coming to hang out. I'm not sure yet. So still
Awesome.
working out some details on that.
Awesome.
We
I
might.
like to hear it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like to hear it. I think it's awesome. You're like me, like you're an enthusiast of the sport, through and through. So to have those kind of people at the races, truly love it. I just feel like the races are a little bit better like that.
Yeah.
So
Huge fan. Huge
yeah.
dedicated.
Oh my God. Yeah, for sure. So and we talked about this a little bit. I just want to tie up our segment here with this. In many of the preseason shows, you were a part of them. We talked about, how strong this year's rookie class was in the pro class there. And I guess how strong the pro class was as a whole. This weekend, you were mechanicking, you saw this whole thing up close and personal. What's your opinion of the pro class? I think it's got to be just about as strong as I remember it ever being.
Yeah, I think it's very strong. Um, you've got kids that have only been in the pro class for a couple years that are, running, leading laps and, finishing top five.
Yep.
And, I remember when I was racing, God, there were guys that had been in the class for a while that were running top five, and the rookies were still, just trying to battle to even get inside of a top 10. So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's like the level is kind of maybe raised a little bit, or if it's just, there's so much talent out there at a young age. The kids are coming up to, yeah, I'm not sure, but I was impressed. Like I said, the rookie class, those guys they look like they belong to be out there, and for the most
Absolutely.
part. And yeah, it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. And I guess too, like another way to judge it, I think too, is like you look at, the guys that are at the back in some of these results, because somebody's got to be there, and you look at how good they are. And it's like the Mickelsons didn't have the weekend they wanted, but they're both gnarly. They're both really, really good. And when you look at that, it's like, yeah, the pro class is crazy good.
Yeah, it's like I've got a lot of friends that race dirt bikes and stuff, and some of them would try to go and try and qualify at the national, or dirt bike nationals or supercrosses or whatever, and
Yep.
you tell people that don't really know, like, these kids out here in this LCQ that are trying to make a main event, these kids are top riders from wherever they come from. These
Oh,
kids
they cream everybody from
yeah,
wherever they come from.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, your 14th, 15th, your backpack of the guys in the pro ATV class. Those kids are the fastest, locally where they come from. And
Oh my
that's,
God, yeah.
yeah. And,
By a ton.
yeah. And, that's just it's crazy that, there's a lot of talent out there, and yeah, you're going to have you're going to have guys that are going to have their good days, and you're going to have guys that, normally are up front that are going to have bad days, and, they're going to be at the back, the back of the pack. So I
For
think
sure.
with this class, we're going to see a lot of flip flopping.
Yeah, which is good as a fan. Like
Yeah.
that's really cool. But yeah, that's, I mean, really great view of it there. Great points, because I feel the same way. I don't think it's probably said enough that man, those guys are just so good. They're so fast. If you put them, like, there's no guys on the track, there's no average guys making those other guys look superhuman.
Right.
It's just that everybody on the track is next level, the best of the best. And yeah, so every single one of those dudes is deserving of credit. There's no doubt about it. So I'm glad you made mention of that. And I mean, this was all great stuff. I thought the racing was great there. I thought the track changes, I mean, obviously Sunset is just about the best when it comes to I mean, literally everything from the
Yeah.
meticulous place to how good they treat ATVs, to the obviously the quality of the track. I mean, there are a little bit of changes at first. There was people like, oh, they changed this, they changed that. I kind of went out there and I'm like, oh, it doesn't really look that different.
Yeah.
And but I thought the little stuff that they did made for really, really, really good racing. They took a track that a lot of times is pretty fast, like really, really fast at times, and then just gets rough, where they made it more technical. They found a way to make it more technical. They made multiple lines, and they made it so when it gets rough, it's going to, create really good racing. I thought that obviously the Pistol family there, I mean, you and I are both obviously fond of them.
Hmm.
And hold Walnut, hold Sunset Ridge in high regard, but great racetrack, and it made for a great weekend of racing. That's for sure.
Yeah, I thought I mean, I saw videos and stuff from practice on Friday, and it's like, man, it'd be awesome to be out there. The track looks prime, and even though it got really rough on Saturday afternoon, it's still, the split lines that they put in there, and like, I love that style of track. So
Me
it
too.
was like, gosh, I want to be out there, even though it's rough and I'm gonna die. I'd die in a lap, 2 laps, probably wouldn't even be able to push the throttle, but it looked fun. The track looked awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Made for a lot of good racing and a great weekend. Sean, I can't thank you enough for joining me here. I love obviously your input, and obviously to hear the behind the scenes stuff going on, and the mechanics area going on in the pit and everything else. It was really cool. So I'm super grateful for your time, and you're one of the dudes that people love having on, love to hear from. So I just we really
That's
enjoy
all.
having you, and I can't thank you enough, man. I really appreciate it.
I love being on here, man. I love talking ATVs, of course, and yeah, it was awesome. Hopefully my mechanic skills. Maybe I'll get a call back for later in the season. I don't know. We'll see. I am
Yeah.
available, so.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it. I hope that you're at more so we can do this some more. And again, it made for some awesome stuff, and just can't thank you enough for getting back on here with me. So we want to tell you awesome job on the mechanic work, and obviously
Thank
sharing
you.
the experience with us. And we'll talk soon. I just can't thank you enough, pal.
All right, man. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.
We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. Before Digging Deep was even a reality, back when it was just an idea, CST Tires already believed in us, which is fitting because no one believes in their tires more than I do. Our title sponsor, CST Tires, and their Pulse MXR tires continue to hook every rider strong enough and willing to grab a handful of throttle after mounting them on their ride. Used by Thomas Brown to win races and clinch a third straight Quad Cross of Nations title, Nick Janusa when he grabbed his first career Pro Class podium, and myself, Cody Jansen, as I rode my Pulse MXR fronts and white label soft compound rears to a 2019 National Championship in the Junior 25 Plus class. The Pulse MXR tire, available in soft and standard compounds, offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. Visit CSTTires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. CST Tires, where passion meets the ground.
Anybody that I've gotten to try them, I've heard nothing but positive things back.
We're proud to be Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATV MX podcast. Why choose Yamaha? Look no further than Chad Wienen's 6 championships in the past 8 seasons aboard his Yamaha YFZ 450R. Not to mention, Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing, and their support of this podcast proves it. For the 2020 ATV MX season, Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program will offer payout and prize opportunities, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ 450R. For more information, head to YamahaOutdoors.com and follow them on social media at Yamaha Outdoors today. All hail Blue Crew, the #1 OEM supporter of ATV racing. For over 150 years, Valvoline has led the charge by being dedicated to constant improvement and innovation across all disciplines of racing. Valvoline has sponsored some of the greatest names in motorsports, and for the better part of a decade, I've been fortunate enough to be part of the historically great Team Valvoline. From my commuting vehicles to small engines, race quads, and everything in between, I trust nothing but Valvoline in all of my equipment. I've experienced increased function and durability, as well as a longer life expectancy thanks to Valvoline's array of products and lubricants. Since 1866, Valvoline has been focused on bettering your experience, whether on road, on track, and everywhere in between. Upgrade to Valvoline today and check them out at valvoline.com. SSI Decals is a name synonymous with ATV racing, synonymous with big-time success, and absolutely synonymous with the best-looking decals around. An offshoot of their parent company that was established in 1947, SSI first took shape from owner Ian Harris's passion for ATVs. With what started as just making numbers and decals for riders like Chad Wienen, the company quickly took off, and today you couldn't imagine ATV motocross without SSI decals. The graphics maker and designer now supports all the top teams in ATV motocross, as well as teams and riders racing GNCC, Work Series, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Canadian Pro Motocross, short course off-road trucks, UTVs, snowcross, and oh yeah, 6-time NHRA World Champion Clay Milliken. No project is too big or too small for SSI decals, making your identity stick with championship level graphics. Head over to SSIDecals.com today and then maybe call the doctor, because things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATV MX podcast is brought to you in part by DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 chain. This patented X-ring chain boasts a steel alloy construction for reduced weight, increased strength, and a longer overall chain life, making it the optimal ATV racing chain. Pick up an ATV2 chain today at your local dealer or wherever DID chains are sold. Don't forget about their motocross, off-road, and street bike chains as well. Wherever you go, go with DID.
Hello listeners, this is Chad Wienen, 6-time AMA ATV Pro National Champion, an owner of Wienen Motorsports and proud partner of Digging Deep ATV MX podcast. The two of us share a strong passion for ATV MX. Owning my own team gives us the ability to handpick the best products on the market for our racing program. With consistent testing, research, and development, we are confident that when choosing the products we believe in, our customers will be satisfied in building their own race program as well. We race what we sell. With brands like Fox Shocks, Walsh Racecraft, SSI Decals, Wrath Racing, and Hinson Racing, just to mention a few, go to check out WienenMotorsports.com to see the full lineup. Enter discount promo code DIGDEEP at checkout. Enough talking already. Get out and get some fresh air and go ride. Hope to see you at the track soon.
We are proud to be partnered with Numera Technologies. Since 2001, Numera has led the charge in the ATV and side-by-side market, covering more applications than anyone else in the industry. Numera's advanced piston technology uses a NASA-exclusive aluminum alloy that helps to reduce expansion rates, that allows for tighter tolerances, and leads to higher overall engine performance for your machine. For more information about Numera's wide offerings of pistons, rings, gaskets, and industry-leading top-end repair kits, visit your local dealer or online at www.numera.com. Numera Technologies, pistons with an attitude. We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals like rods and cylinders, all the way down to suspension parts and bearing kits. Bronco is your hard part source for whatever you need for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world. Visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com. The Digging Deep ATV MX podcast is also sponsored by DP Brakes, a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology. DP has been dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheeled racers on the planet. 2020 is no different, with an impressive lineup including AMA ATV Pro Class champion Joel Hetrick and Pheonix Racing Honda team, Cody Jansen and his 2019 Junior 25+ National Championship, Wienen Motorsports, Nick Januza, Wesley Wolf, and much more in the ATV motocross. In GNCC Racing, DP has 16 of the top 17 pros heading into 2020. This includes the champ Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Chris Borich, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and more. These riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on the top of the podium. Available at www.dp-brakes.com. Purchase at your local dealer or message us for the contact info today. What are you waiting for? Join the best ATV riders in the world on DP Brakes. Forworks Carbon's innovative lightweight products include top-notch seat covers, carbon fiber, and plastic hoods, gas tank covers, exhaust shields, shock guards, and much more. Whether you have an ATV, UTV, or snowmobile, Forworks has the goodies that will improve your ride and make you salivate. We trust Forworks for increased function and a sexier look, and you should too. Forworks Carbon, always working hard to bring high quality and innovative parts to the market. Check them out today at fwcarbon.com.
We are proud to be partnered with Gripped Gloves. Gripped is an ATV rider owned and operated brand with the rider in mind and the goal of keeping costs affordable. The Michigan-based family operation recognizes riders' desire to showcase their identity. Owner David Payne's love for eccentric colorways and crazy patterns shows in his product, something not often found in the work of big manufacturers. Here to push stereotypes and limitations, Grip's drive is to produce a glove with cool colors and designs that won't break the bank. With comfort and quality as key motivators, the family affair is constantly working on the next more innovative and improved glove. Get a grip on life, join the Gripped movement, because no one wants a bland glove. Check them out today at grippedgloves.com, that's GRIPT gloves.com, and use discount code DIGGINGDEEP10 to save at checkout. If you were to guess, on average, how many days people in the U.S. have to wait to see a doctor, what would you say? Americans have to wait around 29 days to see a doctor in major U.S. cities. And if you're dealing with a condition like erectile dysfunction, you want treatment ASAP. That's why our friends at Roman have spent years building a digital platform that can connect you with a licensed doctor in your state, all from the comfort of your home. Roman makes it convenient to get the treatment you need on your schedule. Just grab your phone or computer, complete a free online visit, and you'll hear back from a U.S. licensed physician within 24 hours. If the doctor decides that treatment is right for you, Roman's Pharmacy can ship your medication to you with free 2-day shipping. You also get free unlimited follow-ups with your doctor anytime you have questions or want to adjust your treatment plan. With Roman, there are no commitments and you can cancel anytime. So if you're struggling with ED, go to getroman.com/digging for your free online visit and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/digging for your free online visit and free 2-day shipping. We are also proud of our partnership with Factory 43. Factory 43 was born in 2007, making Nerf bars for the Suzuki LTR, Honda TRX 450R, and Yamaha's YFZ 450. The brand soon added bumpers and grab bars, and for years now has offered parts for all sport quads. The racer-owned company strives to offer a quality product that installs easy, looks good, and holds up over time. For 2020, Factory 43 is the aluminum parts choice of the Pheonix Racing Honda team, providing riders like Joel Hetrick, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Chris Borich, and Grayson Eller with the motocross and cross-country versions of their Evo Nerf bar and MX-style front bumpers. Head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of products. Thanks to Factory 43. We are excited to dig deep with the support of Bikes, Trikes, and Quads, LLC. Celebrating their 10-year anniversary this May, the company was started by former racers selling three-wheeler parts out of a barn in upstate New York. Through hard work, accompanied by offering great service to their customers, BTQ LLC now has over 40,000 new and used parts in stock. But they haven't forgotten their roots, still offering used OEM parts for three-wheelers, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides. Parts are in stock and ready to ship with delivery within 3 days, including free shipping on orders over $50. Use discount code ATVMX at www.btqllc.com for $10 off orders of $50 or more. We're grateful to have Bikes, Trikes, and Quads LLC digging deep with us. Support our industry's grassroots businesses. Thank you, BTQ LLC. The Decker Training Facility at County Line MX is now open. This premier motocross training compound is located in beautiful Fountain, Florida, about a 40-minute drive from Panama City Beach. Their rapidly growing facility consists of a pro-level national track, amateur and youth tracks, woods loop, and mountain bike trails. Everything you need to train comfortably all winter long is available on site, including private cabins, a full gym, RV hookups, bathhouses, garage, dump station, wash bays, and more. With accommodations for riders across the country and around the world, the Decker Training Facility will help you become the best rider you can be. Sign up for a group training session or a private lesson with nationally ranked pros. Train tougher, smarter, and harder this off-season at one of Florida's most luxurious facilities. For more information, go to DeckerTrainingFacility.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram. Decker Training Facility, your elite training experience.
We are proud to be partnered with Avocado Green Mattresses. We all know that sleep and rest are an important part of any athlete's routine. Avocado's line of natural mattresses and pillows provide exactly the support you need to ensure you perform at your best while doing the best for the planet. The Avocado mattress offers zoned back support with an internal support unit, meaning whether you are recovering from a hard day of riding or relaxing on a Sunday morning, you will be experiencing next level comfort. You can rest in peace knowing the components in your mattress and pillow are non-toxic, natural, and sustainably sourced. And getting your Avocado Green mattress could not be any easier. They offer a 100-night sleep trial, free shipping and return pickups, and a 25-year warranty. And if that wasn't enough, rest assured knowing they have 5-star ratings by verified customers, including some of the Digging Deep staff. Step up your sleep game by visiting avocadomattress.com.
Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. All right, guys, you heard from your Sunset Ridge event winner, Chad Wienen, and you heard Sean and I dig into the racing a little bit. Now let's switch gears to some TT talk. This will serve as our TT season preview, and we'll be joined by a special guest for it. Enjoy. And now he told me that it was time for some TT content, so we promptly got him on here. Here to talk about TT racing and more, brought to you by DID Racing Chain and their 520 ATV2 X-Ring chain. Please welcome Mitch Reynolds back to the podcast. Thanks for joining me, pal. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Cody. I've been pumped to get back on here and get the TT world a little bit of hype going, get everyone informed what's going on in the TT world.
Yeah, for sure. You like I had mentioned, you said it was time for some TT content, and I'm partial to TT racing. Of course, it's what I grew up doing, and it's truly like my first love. So excited to talk some TT racing. So let's get into it. I mean, the season is just about to start for you guys, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Due to the COVID situation, tracks, certain tracks weren't able to race, having to postpone, and all these different hoops to jump through. But yeah, the NEDT is going to kick off this weekend in North Carolina. It's kind of the East Coast series. And then the Outlaw series kicks off the following weekend in Iowa. The Midwest series they've already had a couple rounds going, but anyway, yeah, it's going to all catch some steam pretty soon. So
I thought so. And I thought that the couple of races that had already happened in the Midwest here, they've been like pretty big, right? From what I could pick up on, it looked like the racer numbers were pretty solid.
I think they probably had some pretty good numbers. Everyone was just itching to get racing. Some of the East Coast guys are traveling over and competing because, they're just sitting around waiting, trying to race. So, I believe their numbers have been really good. So
that's awesome. I mean, and for you, that's should be an indication that numbers, I would think, are going to be up across the board. Because, and I guess you started to touch on it. I'll let you kind of fill me in on this, but there's a number of different series. So explain to me, I guess, a little bit more, like, what series are the most prestigious? What series are most people running? What series are you running? I mean, you and your family help, kind of organize one of the series, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So I'll just kind of step back and just give a little bit of history of TT racing,
Sure.
So,
yep. Perfect.
Step back in the early 2000s, and that's ultimately when everything kind of split and TT went its own direction, which they eventually kind of renamed it Extreme Dirt Track, trying to get a little more jumps into the track and a little more technicality and give it something, just kind of a new curve to the sport anyway.
Yep.
But as time went on, the people that were behind TT, it was just kind of fading off. It was getting too tough for people to travel all over the country, from South Dakota over to North Carolina. Logistically, people were just having a hard time affording it, So that kind of led up to 2015. They kind of split into regional. So you had this East Coast series develop, and then this Midwest series. And that's the point when the sport started really catching steam and growing in numbers again, because now these people who weren't able to travel or take off work all this time to pursue the nationals, they just had to pick and choose races here and there, were now able to go race these events because they weren't as far from home. They could get off on Friday and they could go attend these events.
Sure. It was more realistic because it was a more regional type series, of course.
So kind of the premier series within TT right now is the NEDT, and that's Sean Robinson. He's really done some great things, really pushing our sport forward. He was the one who promoted the 50th at Pine Lake, and he's been in the sport. He raced before. His adopted son Kyler races, so he just like everything else in ATV racing, it's family. And so that really propelled him to take that next step and kind of take over the series and push it. They usually have very good numbers over there. And they run in Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, and then they picked up a new track in Michigan last year, which I went and raced that event. It was a really cool track, and lends itself too for motocrossers thinking about trying out TT. Like, that would be the primo place for them to do it, because it lends itself to a motocross style.
The track in Michigan does. So where is that?
It's in Owasso, Michigan. So that's over it's like southeast Michigan.
Okay.
Where that's at.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool, because I think, and maybe it stems from, from Astabula last year, or in all the buzz that came from that, but there's definitely more interest within the motocross community. Like, as they look at TT right now, there's definitely some intrigue there for, I think, like, just as a general whole in the motocross community, they're looking at TT with big eyes, I think, right now, more than they have, at least in recent years.
I definitely believe you're right, Cody. I know I didn't get to make it to Loretta's, but I know there was quite a bit of buzz at Loretta's, after you'd done the podcast, and everyone, 50th had 890 entries. So, there were a lot of people in attendance there, and Thomas and Jeffrey were there.
Yep.
So yeah, people just got pumped on TT racing in general. And, talking to a lot of guys, I think people definitely have interest in trying it. I know Bryce Ford definitely has some interest, and Alan Myers has shown a little interest, and Jeffrey and Joel are definitely on board. Had a conversation with Eller at Georgia, if he would be on forward with letting those guys do that. And he was like, yeah, I just want to figure out logistics, but
Sure.
he thinks it's pretty cool as well. So just kind of gathered steam with this whole, figurative Triple Crown type thing where you race cross country, motocross, and TT together.
Yep.
And I think it's gathering some steam out there. It's a pretty exciting concept anyway.
Of course. Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. Maybe we can come full circle to the Triple Crown thing, but yeah, I was gonna ask about that. But yeah, talking about as you're getting into the history of at least the previous years of TT racing. So you're talking about, that prestigious series down there. That's the one that starts this weekend, correct? In North Carolina. And
that is.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just confirming what you're saying. And then the other series that are out there here in the Midwest, you've got the Midwest EDT, which is ran by Billy Clayton. He's been running that for quite a few years. We raced a little bit of that last year. And then the Extreme Outlaw Series is ran by Josh Hibden, a former pro TT racer.
Yep.
His son races. And then my dad has been kind of giving him advice as far as promoting events, since he hosted national TT nationals back in the day. So that's going to kind of be our focus as far as, rocket racing, and my team that's what we're going to focus on.
Okay. Awesome. And then the Outlaw Series you talked about, is that the one you were just talking about, or is that something totally separate?
No, that is the same thing.
Okay.
Right now I have events, which I said our opening round will be in Iowa, but we race in Missouri, Kansas, possibly in Indiana, with some COVID, with the COVID stuff, things are kind of unknown on that, but it looks like all the series are at least going to get rounds in, where you can race for points this year. So,
okay, perfect. And I think that I'm really intrigued by that series, I guess, because obviously, like, being from Wisconsin, that's not that far from here. So I know of people that have talked about, racing that series that kind of you're, a part of. But those are big. That's like a big TT region, right? So, that should pull big numbers, I would think.
I would think so. You look at the RAS located in Minnesota,
Yep.
Too far from you.
Exactly. Yep.
They've got a good number of racers. You've got a good base in South Dakota, Missouri. There's just a good rider base in Indiana as well, Illinois. And now you start getting in the more southern states here, Arkansas. TT scene had really faded off when we closed our track and got out of it, but it's gathering steam as well. Got some people coming out of retirement here in Arkansas just because, of kind of how I got out there and performed. It kind of shocked them that I was able to, go back to competing at that level. And I'm like, well, obviously if I can do it, you guys can all do it too. So that's super cool to see the sport grow.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that, and it was very clear when we had you on last time, last summer, the end of last summer, but just you guys, your family has taken the lead on this TT thing. And I think, and maybe it's not just you guys, but it does from my standpoint, it looks like you guys are playing a part in, like, almost kind of trying to band everybody together, because one sticking point has been the rules, right? And I talked to your dad a little bit about this, but you guys have a desire to get, and again, I don't want to misspeak like it's just you guys, maybe it's more than just you, but there's a desire to get more of the rules to overlap better so that people can attend multiple series, right? And for families and everything, like, I think maybe the kids classes are involved in some of those rules and discrepancies and stuff. So is there any update on that? Like, are things better on that front where there's similar rules so you can kind of pick and choose and race multiple series? I hope you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely on the rules. There were a lot of differences in rules, which made it a challenge to go from one series to another, just certain stipulations and things like that. And that's one thing with the Outlaw Series. Since the NEDT is the premier series, he's kind of adopting their rule set, so it looks uniform. And then really I didn't really have any part in this, but Dad had intentions of hosting a Hoosier Grand National this year and kind of bringing both sides in with the referees and hosting, a one-off event where it's like a grand national event, encouraging everyone to come. But again, with the COVID stuff, he felt like he needed to back out and open up that date for the other series to race. He didn't want to step on, he didn't want to mess up other series from people being able to attend those. So looks like we'll kick that back a year. But yeah, as of right now, you kind of, if you want to look at it as a grand national, you kind of have to go to Ashtabula. That's where most everyone shows up to. They kind of save up their pennies and show up there. So that you'll race the best of the best. Even though within these series themselves, there's good competition across the board, really, in all classes. So,
oh, of course. So the event you talked about there, that was going to be the Indiana race, right? That we heard about.
Yes, that is correct. And he hated to pull the plug on that race, but he said, it's not. Another year will just help him further develop it and promote it even better. I think it was going to be a great event anyway, but again, we wanted to open up dates. One of the other series called us and said, hey, we're having to move the date around, and that's really the only date that this track's giving us. And Dad said, you know what, I need to step out of it so that I don't mess up these other series. So
okay, well, and that does make sense because you want it to be as big and as good as it can possibly be, right? So you don't want any discrepancy of any kind, because you want everybody to be able to congregate at this one-off event. So it does make sense. I hate that people have to wait until 2021 for it, but hopefully that just makes it that much bigger and better when it does happen.
Definitely. And hopefully, it kind of lined up where it was at in the date. We were hoping to get some motocross guys like yourself included, spark some interest, put some TT tires on and get back out there and get back to your first love,
Yeah, for sure. That was an event that I wasn't going to miss. That's for sure. We had talked about it ourselves even. And, cause that's it's my first love. And then it's like my dad's not his first love. It's like his number one love is flat track and TT. So, we weren't going to miss that, but like I said, to push it back a year, the anticipation is just going to make it that much sweeter. The last time I had you on, I asked you this and you kind of gave me an update on the pulse of TT racing. And you had told me, that numbers were solid and growing. Youth classes were gaining, the numbers, I guess like youth classes were growing. Right. And from what I can tell, there's more TT buzz than at least there has been in recent years. So tell me, like, if you were to gauge the pulse of TT racing right now and kind of gauge it to last year or maybe the year prior, because even when you weren't racing, I'm sure you were at least keeping tabs on this. So do you think that the anticipation, the pulse, the kind of the temperature of TT racing, is it continuing to increase right now? Is that how you feel?
It definitely is gathering steam. I think really what lends itself to that is, in the motocross scene, it feels like you need to build a brand new bike. Everything needs to be fresh every year. But TT is a little more affordable. Guys can kind of part together a used bike and make that through the season a lot easier, so guys with a little bit lower budget are able to attend them. Tires are basically your most expensive part when it comes to TT racing, because you go through those pretty often.
Of course.
But you look at these events, and let's go any EDT on a given weekend's 300 to 400 riders, and you might be having a race over in the Midwest where you're having 250 to 300 riders. So that's a good number of TT racers competing on a regional event, which we're calling nationals, on a given weekend. And that's just steadily climbing, like just kind of looking at some numbers from the 50th. Now that was a huge event. But within the TT world, you look, your pro class is always important, but they really try to put an emphasis on all the aspects of racing. Okay. So 3-wheelers are back in this thing, and 3-wheelers, like those dudes are crazy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's a bunch of them. Like in the premier Pro-Am three-wheeler class, there were 39 riders signed up in that class.
Wow.
Then you have a pro light class, which would be like your amateur pro class. All right. So,
Okay.
I mean, you could say it's an A class, but,
It's your top amateurs.
it's your top amateurs, right? And there's a purse there, so they get to win a little bit of money and prizes and things like that. And then for the youth is the super mini class. So it's the same way. There's like added money in there. So it kind of gives kids that incentive of making a little money and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So
That's very cool. Yeah, for sure. And like you said, to make it, I think the series as a whole, TT Racing as a whole, you guys as a whole are trying to make it more, affordable for people, more rider friendly and stuff, to make it so that people can chase these series. And I think that's such a great thing because, I know that in the motocross scene, like people get priced out of it, and I totally understand how that happens. So, I like the idea of, the little bit more affordable racing and being able to chase these series as a TT racer. I think that's, if it keeps families and individuals able to do it. I mean, that's a really, really, really cool thing.
yeah, ultimately what you're leading to there on family, that's after being out of, ATV racing for 10 years, I kind of gained a new perspective in life. I have a family now and children, another child on the way. But when I came back to the ATV racing scene, like the family that's there, it's awesome, dude. And like,
Yeah.
it's almost like I got an outsider's perspective on it. Cause I was tunnel vision, I wanted to do this as a career and go pro and this and that, which is good. I was working hard.
Yep.
But now I'm enjoying myself with it. I'm looking around and seeing all the dynamics of everything that goes into racing. And, it's awesome on the TT level too. I'm loving getting back into motocross, but as I was in TT last year, just looking around at all the families involved, and the sacrifice that everyone makes and their dedication to the sport, and just looking forward to getting out there and seeing your racing family. Competing is one thing, but those relationships you have off the track they're more valuable than that,
100%. Yeah.
So that's just what's really cool to me.
I think so too. And like you talked about that tunnel vision, and when you're a younger racer and you're trying to make a job of it, and you like the winning and losing is the only thing that you focus on. I think that's where people fall out of love with it. And then they just get burned out or whatever. And you get a little older, your perspective changes, and now you're sharing all this with your family. And it's like, those memories that you make in that family atmosphere and those relationships and all of that stuff. I guess I don't know of anything else, and TT's racing would be the same, but I don't know of anything else where you get to do it with your family and you get to make those memories and travel the country and do all these things where, like, when you talk about kids growing up and they are doing it in stick and ball sports and they're doing it with their buddies, not their family and stuff like that. I just don't know where you get kind of that experience and all of that anywhere other than ATV racing. So I think that's why, I mean, you and me both we could talk ourselves blue in the face about why we love it so much. And it's the people and the relationships and those memories made that make it so special. So you hit the nail on the head there. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the amazing thing about it, for sure, is just everyone's love and passion for it. And I agree with you that ATV racing is really the only place that you can have that, where all the way from the grandpa down to the grandkid can be on the track racing. They can be off the track hanging out. It's it's camping, it's competing. You just can't match it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So let's talk about you for a second. So what are your personal goals for your 2020 TT campaign?
So ultimately, I would like to win the pro title over in the Outlaw Series. we were competing in the top 3 level basically at every race we went to last year.
Yep.
So I'd like to go out and win the title in the pro class there. We're also going to go run some NEDT. So I'll be at Pine Lake and hopefully at Michigan and some other rounds, depending on when my third child gets here.
Okay.
But ultimately, I mean, my goal at those races are to win.
Of course.
I want to develop the equipment and aside from winning, I want to have a good time, but the competitor within you wants to win every time you're on the track.
Of course.
The other thing I want to do is really coach and help people. I've been trying to do that at the motocross races. There's a couple guys that I've been just trying to help them on setup and kind of coaching them on takeoffs and on the track. I want to do the same thing on TT with setup and that sort of thing, as well as kind of those younger guys, coaching them in life, helping them, keeping them from falling into that kind of pit that I fell into when it was that tunnel vision, and I lost my vigor for the race. It was all about the performance.
Yeah, 100%. I think that you do such a good job of kind of being that ambassador and for somebody to want to model themselves after. And I think you're exactly right. If somebody even 5, 6, 7 years ago could have just explained my perspective now to me, I think that might have been all it would have taken for me to have it click. And I would have loved it again. But at the time I was like losing my love for it because it was just like this grind. So I think that you and I had short conversations about what the good things that you were doing at the motocross races and trying to help people in that way. And I think that you doing that at the TT races as well. I mean, you're from the start, you're somebody that people are looking up to. And the best thing that a lot of those people could do would be to follow in your footsteps and listen to what you have to say, because I think, again, your perspective alone, and then obviously your on-track performance and ability is stuff that people should want to follow. So I think that's a really good thing. And I think it's cool. I mean, it speaks to your character that in your list of goals is, to help other people get better and impact them in that way. So that's a really cool thing too.
I'm humbled by your comments, Cody. I feel that, life is about relationships, and God's given me, a special set of skills, on a racetrack, but also with relationships. So, I mean, ultimately that's what we're called to do, is love one another. And so, you just use the skills that you're given to bless others that's firmly what my life is founded in. So,
yeah, I love it. I think that's something that, probably and I don't want to overstep my place here, but I think it's something that not enough people probably look closely enough at. So I think that for you, it's one of those things where it's like, if you can just impact one person, and it's like, if you can just impact one person, and then maybe that other person impacts somebody, and it's just this big contagious thing. I think that you're doing a great job there. So yeah, let's circle back to the racing before I let you go. So I guess, and maybe this isn't specific just to your series, but if we're talking about TT as a whole, give us some riders to watch or keep an eye on in 2020. Is there anybody that comes to mind if as I ask you that question there?
Definitely. So I would say the number one guy to watch for over in the NEDT is CJ Robson. He's from North Carolina. He just had a string of bad luck last year, but the dude has some serious speed. Obviously defending champion Brad Riley. He's won 4 titles over there, and he won all of the events at Pine Lake. And he won both Pro-Am classes as well in the series. So he's definitely somebody that everybody's after. He's the champ.
Yep.
Chucky Creech, he'll be back to his winning ways. Garrett Keister over here in the Midwest. McLean is flying. I mean, there's a big list of guys. Damian King, talking of some younger guys that are up and coming. I mean, the list goes on. It's like, I feel when I pull to that starting line that there's any given race, there's 10 or 12 guys who can win, when we're all lined up together.
Okay.
So that's what's wild. Thomas and I we had a conversation. He said, for the most part, it doesn't matter where they start in motocross, that Joel and Chad are going to find their way to the front,
Yep.
just because of the speed differential. But
Yep.
with TT, it really is. I mean, the gap between first and 12th, first and 15th, it's minuscule. There's not much difference. So you pull up there and you feel most everybody on the front line and some on the back row feel like, hey, I can win this race. And another thing that kind of plays into that is the Joker lane. It's this lane that everybody has to take one lap, and it's like 10% slower in the lap. So let's say, typical lap's 40 seconds. It's going to add 4 seconds.
Okay.
So everyone in the race has to take that Joker lane. So that's like a race within itself in your mind.
Sure.
But then
like when you're going to take it, right? That's the like the chess match part of it.
Definitely, because you're pushing. You're like, I don't know when these guys have taken it. So you push, and after you take it, you don't know if the guys in front of you have taken it or not. So you're just pushing. So a lot of times you don't really know where you're at in the race at times, unless you have someone signaling you. But it's not like a pit board. I mean, TT is so fast paced. You're just kind of head down, pushing 110. You can't let up at all.
Yep, exactly. That's the Joker lane thing. That's gotta be like even more nerve wracking. Yeah. Cause you can't just put your head down and turn your brain off. You got to have your brain going too. So, yeah, that's exciting. One thing you did, you mentioned Brad Riley, right? And I guess that was one thing that came to mind for me, because I knew you were going to race some of those races. So, I was like wanting to ask you, is somebody else? I mean, is anybody going to be able to stop this guy? Because he's been the man now for a while, right?
He has, but I'm coming for him now. I'm kidding. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I know.
I really am. Like, I love competing with Brad. Raced with, I raced with him back in the day. And so coming back into it, I was like, I've beat Brad before. I can get back to winning ways. He's definitely a smart, tough competitor. But yeah, I mean, we're up for the challenge. I was excited to see him at Georgia. I thought the three of us were really going to get to dice it out.
Yeah, so did I.
So unfortunately, he had some bike issues. He was fighting a little bit, but it's fun to see guys kind of branch out and do other racing as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy I probably a lot like yourself, but he's just gnarly on a four-wheeler, no matter what the discipline. I mean, I remember, years racing him in Pro-Am and him winning Pro-Am and some race at some tracks. And then, like coming off seemed like he was maybe not even racing the full season at times. And then he was like battling for the top 5 in the pro class on a motocross track. It was just crazy. And then he turns his focus all the way back to seemingly like TT full time. And he's the man over there. So yeah, I mean, I think it takes I think like having somebody like him, who's obviously he's the guy to beat, and then having such great talent, like you're saying, is kind of coming up and kind of aiming for him, like that just creates good overall hype and everything for the sport to begin with, I think. So I think that obviously Brad is a great person for the sport, obviously, but I think you are too. You and your family, like, sure seemingly have created like a lot of good things for TT racing, and it sure seems like TT racing is in a better spot right now than it was when you guys were away from it.
Definitely. I mean, if you have a passion for something, you're not just complacent. You want to work hard and improve things. So, we love this sport, and the people that are working with us, the people that were willing to step back out and help us. You want to help everything grow. And so, my son's racing now. I want it to grow for him. I just want to make a better sport as a whole for everyone. So whatever it takes, I'm gonna do whatever I can within my capacity to make racing better for everyone.
Yeah, and I truly believe that that you guys are doing it. Before I let you go, Mitch, I have to ask you, you mentioned it before. I said we'd circle back to it, but the Triple Crown thing, we've heard these rumors about it. And I know that it's, there's more and more buzz. We're talking about motocross riders racing TT and, kind of everybody doing the whole TT motocross cross country thing. Basically the idea is that it's going to be all one event, right? So, is this something that you think is really going to happen maybe in the next couple of years, this Triple Crown thing?
There's definitely higher people than me that are talking about it, so that's encouraging for sure.
Okay.
Now as far as the format, how all of it would shake out, I don't know. I mean, Jeffrey and I have just spent some time talking about different logistics, and rules that we would have to do, in order to make it a fair playing field for everyone. But I mean, I truly think that this thing will happen. If it doesn't happen next year, I would be surprised. I really would.
Okay.
I'm going to keep encouraging it and keep talking to people, but it's cool to Rodney Tomlin. He was talking about it just randomly. And I went up to him and started talking to him about it.
Yep.
And where'd you get this idea, man? He's like, well, he was on his quad radio talking, and I guess I was watching Thomas. That's what I was doing. And he started talking about it. So then I just started kind of poking it because I'm like, where did you get this idea? He's like, well, it's something I thought would be cool for a long time. And so then I just started mentioning some things to him, and more people start talking about it. So I believe that where we were at in Ionia, they had a lot of interest in possibly hosting it there.
Okay.
Whether that transpires or not, I don't know, but I know they definitely had interest, and they were building a TT track up on the hill. So.
Oh, really? Well, then they have all the means to do it then too, because they have the motocross track, national level motocross track. They have a national level GNCC because they host the GNCC national as well. So if they had the TT, then I mean, there's your spot. And I think that would be a relatively good location for it. I mean, there's a lot of TT racers, it seems like, down in that area. So yeah, if you have a location to do it, I just love the idea of, hey, let's race 3 different disciplines and see who the baddest guys on ATVs are. Like, I just love that idea. It's almost, I mean, obviously it's one more added aspect, but it's a little bit of a reminder what it was like when it was, the GNC series, and it was, TT and motocross together. When you won that championship, it meant that you were the best overall rider. And I think that kind of wandering into that area of who's the baddest guy between the 3 disciplines, I really like the idea of that. I think that would be really, really, really cool.
Yeah, it would be super cool to do that. And then also giving, exposure and relationships between the TT cross country and motocross world.
Of course.
Obviously I'm being at the motocross races, I've reestablished some of my relationships there.
Yep.
And I know that people will kind of be paying attention and watching TT in that sense, but I'd like to have some relationships with cross country guys, get to know them. I know they're racing family as well. So just kind of put it all together, and opportunity for everybody to meet one another and get out there and compete. And, then some bragging on the side for those guys who are, I mean, you and I both know probably who the baddest dudes on quads are, no doubt. But it's fun to just think about having the opportunity to race on a track where we could potentially beat them, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that it's a cool thing because there's going to be guys that are going to be better at one than the other. There's going to be guys that are probably going to surprise you, that are going to be better than you'd expect them in different disciplines. So I think, yeah, it would be really cool. And I think I hope that it's something that happens, and it sounds like it's got a good chance of happening. So I think that just like Pine Lake was a huge thing last year, if you were to hold this Triple Crown thing and all the people that are intrigued and want to be involved, I think that it would be a who's who. It would be the epicenter of ATV racing when it happens. So I think with enough people wanting it to happen, I hope and I think that it's going to, and that's definitely not something that we're going to miss. That's for sure.
So you're going to get the TT tires on. You're going to come out and get warmed up with me.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Kenny Marco is trying to bribe me to race a TT. He's been doing it for like 15 years straight. So, he's like, yeah, I got all these quads, got all this stuff for you to ride. So yeah, I'll definitely be there. I would love to do it. But you know how it is. The only thing that's been stopping me for the last handful of years is like, you spend every dime you have going to the motocross races. So I don't have any, it's like extra funds that I need to put aside for the TT racing too. But yeah, I definitely would not miss it. And, that's something that my dad has said for years. He's like, whenever we stop racing motocross, I'd love to get back into TT. And the good thing for us is maybe as we get closer to maybe that happening someday, TT racing is in a much better spot than it was even when we proposed that idea. And I think that, you and your family have definitely something to do with that. So, I think that's really exciting, and I can't wait to get back to at least some of the TT races here in the near future.
That's exciting to hear. I'm pumped for it because I know you'll be, with your whole shots you've got going on, dude. You'll be in a good place. Like, you're ready for sure.
I'm just excited. Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I mean, I started racing flat track and TT, and then did flat track, dirt bikes for a while, and then went back to, flat track and TT quads. So we did that for a lot of years, and yeah, I'm excited. It'll be cool because again, it'll be cool to take, to have my dad back at the flat track races, because that's his biggest love, and it'll be a cool thing for the family as a whole. So I look forward to it. And yeah, like I said, the TT scene is bigger and better than ever, and you guys have a lot to do with it. So that's really cool. And obviously we wanted to get you on here as kind of as soon as you mentioned it to me. It's just been a couple days since then, and I wanted to make sure we got on to talk some TT racing before the kind of TT really started to pick up. And I wanted to be able to have you guys talk about your Outlaw series and all of that stuff. So I'm hoping that we covered most of everything that you wanted to talk about. If there's anything that you want to add now, I'd love you to do it, or any promotion for the Outlaw series, anything you want to add. Now's your time.
Definitely. So, for any people out there that are just kind of wanting to look into TT and what it's all about, go to EDT Racing Channel. Sean does an excellent job of promoting over there. Just videos. It's somewhat like, Rip It Up film. So you can get an idea of what these events look like. And it showcases all aspects of the sport for sure. Yeah, I mean, as far as the Outlaw series, they're on Facebook. They're Extreme Outlaw TT Nationals. They're gathering some steam. They're working hard to really improve the sport, and obviously working close with Sean as well over at the NEEDT, which is needt.com. Just kind of a closing story here. I found this is kind of cool. I didn't know this because I was out of racing, but just talking about how one person helps another at the race. So this was in 2015. Chucky Creech at the time would have been, he was in the points for the championship. Okay. In the pro class, his bike was stolen like right before the race. And Brian Ace, which was one of his top competitors, loaned him his bike, and he actually beat him by one position, and it's ultimately set him up to win the championship.
Are you serious? Oh my goodness.
That's in the pro level. So that just kind of gives you a picture of what is going on in the TT racing scene. You're talking the pro class, that one guy's lending another guy a bike, and ultimately, it cost him the championship and gave the championship to the other guy. So that just shows you what it's all about there.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that you talked about it. We spoke about it, that ATV racing as a family. And I don't think that there's anything more telling than that. Again, kind of to just tie the whole thing together, like you had mentioned at the beginning of this thing, there's a number of good TT racing series. And I think the best thing about that is that it's almost like anywhere somebody is located, wherever a listener is listening to this right now, there's there's a series that you can race that's probably not that far from you, if you're on our side of the country at least. And that's a good thing, because you hopefully don't have to travel that far to get to one of these, good TT events. So that's a really cool thing, and the TT scene is better than it's been in a long time. Well, Mitch, thanks for the update and all the great info. We're wishing you all the best, as well as TT as a whole, as this thing kind of gets started, and hopefully things blow up here in 2020 for TT racing. That's my biggest hope for it, and hopefully this platform can help create a little more buzz for it as well. And as long as you want to come on and talk about TT racing, maybe we can get some other TT guys that are interested, kind of start some more conversation about it. But we're happy to talk about TT racing here on Digging Deep, and we can't thank you enough for kind of coming on and just implanting some knowledge and TT buzz into our show here.
Thank you, Cody. It's an honor to be on here. Yeah, definitely. I know some TT guys definitely listen to your podcast and are interested, and hopefully we'll get more TT guys interested. And, anybody that you want me to line up to get on the podcast, definitely let me know. We really appreciate what you're doing for the sport, and it's always awesome content. And again, it's just an honor to be on the podcast.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you're welcome here anytime. And yeah, like I said, even if we want to do have a few people on at the same time here, a couple riders, you and another rider and myself. I mean, whatever we want to do to create some more content. If you guys benefit from what we're doing here, if TT Racing benefits from what we're doing here, then that would be our number one hope and goal. So my channel is yours. Anything that you want me to help you with, I definitely would love to. And yeah, you as well. I can't thank you enough for again for your help with talking some TT stuff and helping prompt this. And yeah, we're wishing you all the best. We're wishing you the best of luck. So good luck, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. I can't thank you enough for your time.
All right, thanks. Have a good one, Cody.
Thanks so much, pal. What a show. Some great personalities and fun guys to listen to tonight. Thanks to our guests, Chad Wienen, Sean Taylor, and Mitch Reynolds. Super grateful for their involvement and their time. Thanks as well to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, who always finds time to fit the podcast into his busy schedule. Thanks, Dallas. We couldn't do it without you, and we also got to wish him a happy birthday. Thanks as always to Brooke for all she does for the podcast, and I want to thank AMA official Harv Whipple for always keeping me in the know. Thanks to our sponsors, CST Tires, Yamaha thanks to Blue Crew, Valvoline, SSI Decals, DID Racing Chain, Wienen Motorsports, the Decker Training Facility, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant, Forworks Carbon, DP Brakes, Gripped Gloves, Blenders Eyewear, Mountaineer Brand, Avocado Green Mattress, Roman Health, Factory 43, and Bikes, Trikes, and Quads, LLC. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. You can find all of our episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links and discount codes, our show merchandise, and more all on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out today. The show is available to anyone and everyone, whether on diggingdeepatvmx.com, or you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Basically, wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. Show your support by wearing our apparel. By now, you've probably seen our line of Digging Deep shirts and hoodies. Purchase on our website today with free shipping and all proceeds going directly towards constant growth and improvement of the show. Thanks for all the support and for wanting to represent what we're doing. We're really proud of our gear. If you enjoy the show, we encourage you to donate via Patreon if it suits you. Simply visit our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, and click the Support on Patreon button. This contribution will help prompt continued growth and improvement of the show, with perks available to those who contribute, including hearing your name on the show. We greatly appreciate the support. Want to be part of a show like this? Call us, guys. Call us with your questions, topic suggestions, business inquiries, a rant, or anything else you want to make known. That number is 920-569-3519. That's 920-569-3519. Call us and we'll play your message on the show. Do it now. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATV MX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional behind-the-scenes content and insider info leading up to and at the races. You know I love the screenshots showing that you're listening, so send those in, and I promise to keep sharing them. It's a simple and effective way to help spread the word. Next up is Pleasure Valley, Joel Hetrick's home race. He'll look to do to Chad Wienen what Chad did to him in Illinois. We'll let them battle it out, and then we'll be back to talk about it once again. Remember, Zach Decker's coming on next week, and we have a very highly anticipated show coming up with Yamaha's Dustin Nelson. So stoked about that. Be sure to subscribe to the show, give us a rating, tell your friends, share our posts, wear our shirts and hoodies. It all helps spread word about us while growing the sport that we love. With that, for Chad Wienen, Sean Taylor, Mitch Reynolds, Dallas Jansen, Brooke Catherine, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening to the #1 podcast in ATV racing, 1 million downloads and counting. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then at Steel City.
I would need to check this out.
I'm dead serious. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
It's not easy, Steve. It's not easy.
Listen, JB, I don't want to hear.
It's not easy.
I don't want to hear.
Quadlers are freaking gnarly.
You don't chew Big Red. What the?